Hi, good morning. My name is Lisa Dublin. I'm a health and life coach, and I help you to live, to speak, and to lead with confidence. And today's topic is the power of words and how we can utilize that for our benefit or for our detriment. And, I am looking at it in the context of this being Black History Month, a time when we celebrate, a time when we reflect on the contribution of Black people to the world, especially here in Canada, where I live right now. Wherever you're watching me from, welcome on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn. I think maybe Instagram as well. We are here. Hey, Samuel. Good morning to you. I see you on Instagram. Let's start with a couple questions. I want to ask you: has there ever been a time when you've said things and they have come to pass, good or bad? Has there ever been a time when you said things and they have come to pass? Like one of, for me, the most amazing things about life is that this guy, Usain Bolt, who is such a well known Olympian, I'm not sure if he's still the fastest man in the world. However, his last name is Bolt. His real last name is Bolt. How amazing is that your last name is Bolt and then you are bolting around? Here's somebody else for you, Trump. Do you know what it means to trump? To trump means to overcome. What it has the context of tricking, of overcoming, of finding a way to make things work when everybody thinks it doesn't. It has all of these connotations. And who would have thought after January 6th, 4 years ago, 5 years, 4 years ago, that Donald Trump trumped the system and is back on in the White House. All of these things. So let's go back to the original question because I'm building up to something here and I want to lay out an argument today for us to think about ourselves as Black people differently and to change the words around how we speak about ourselves. But let's take it nice and slow and build it up, okay? When have you spoken things and they have come to pass? I think if you've lived enough, you should know that words have power. Words are things. Words create realities. And the more you say something, it's something connected to saying it, putting energy into it. That is what you get. So you go around life. I had a relative who I had, okay? So that person has since passed. And she always said that she was not going to, she didn't want to grow old. She didn't want to give people trouble. She didn't want to get old. And she passed away in her mid 50s, which, now that I'm getting up there into the 50 range, that is pretty young. What do you think? But have you thought, like in your own, so you can just chat back to me, say something wherever you're watching. Have you said something and it has come to pass? Words have meaning. I've always known that. I continue to push that and to confess certain things over my life, over the lives of the ones who I love. I continue even in speaking about other people to watch what I say because words do have meaning, and you things do come back to you, and what you put out into the world you do get back. Do you believe that? And so, for many reasons, like finding myself here, well, what about when people who say, mark my words, I'm going to do this, and then many years later they do it? Or you say, you know what, all of those people who you hear about who are great and have done great things, if you read the biographies, you usually find that there was a time when they thought of being great. They said it to somebody with the longing and the energy that I'm going to do this. I'm going to be great. I'm going to. One thing comes to mind is, oh, geez, let me see if I remember. Tom Brady, when he was chosen, I think one before the last in his draft or something, he said that he was going to almost like make them regret it and make whoever chose him never regret that they did. And him and is the Belichick that was his coach. They formed that bond, and Tom Brady is legendary in his sport. So you see how words, again, when you say them with meaning, when you say them over and over again, they do create the reality that you want. So it is like one of the tenets, even of, you don't even have to be a Christian to do this. A lot of people use Christian principles without being Christian because the principles work. What you say is what you get. Where your focus goes, your energy flows. Write the vision, make it plain. All of these things work. There's a verse in the Bible that talks about that, life and death and life are in the power of the tongue, and they that love it shall eat the fruit of it. That loving it, have you ever said something and it's almost like it's tasty in your mouth? Oh my goodness. Some people, words are tasty, or maybe even a bit of gossip, it's tasty in your mouth. And I feel like that part of the scripture that talks about they that love it shall eat the fruit of it, it is savoring the thing, tasting it, saying it over and over. There are some people who get very upset if you tell them, how do I say this? I feel like there's a difference between truth and reality. Not sure how to explain it, but many people get very upset if you try to let their words mean more than the reality and take it into the realm of truth, take it into the future. Why don't we just make our words, if we have words anyway, why don't we just use our words to create something new and to be the basis upon which, we go about doing good in the world and living. And why am I saying all of this? Okay. So I come here to Canada many years ago, and there's a movement that I take serious umbrage at with, for somebody correct me, but I don't like it. I don't say it. I haven't started any campaign to get people not to say it. I'm not even sure if it's my right to do so. But I do want to lay out my argument for not saying that word this morning. And you know what that word is? They call BIPOC people, people of color in Canada, racialized. Racialized. What does that mean? What does that mean in the context of agitation, in the context of advocating for change and wanting a better future for Black people and doing all of the things, right? That's like saying, you know what? I am trying to lose weight and I'm having cheesecake every single day. That's how I look at it as. No, but I could do that. We foot. No, I'm trying to lose weight. But every day at 4 o'clock, I find myself right here in Edmonton, Vies for Pies. Oh my goodness, they have the best cheesecake. Every 4 o'clock, I find myself Vies for Pies having a slice of cheesecake. But I'm there with a placard. I'm losing weight. We are going to be 150 pounds. But I'm doing things that go against what I want to do. And I think that our words, we need to watch them. I know it doesn't seem like a very big thing to do, but from my experience, it literally starts with the foundation of who you believe yourself to be. All right, not a word that facilitates an integrated society at all. Exactly. But I wonder this, I'm reading from somebody on Instagram. Violet, I wonder whether you heard it in the UK context. I'm speaking to a friend on Instagram who lived in the UK and so also had the experience of being an immigrant, in a majority white society. Let's go through the meaning. I got my meanings because I told you I want to lay out the argument for not using this word and for giving alternatives to calling people racialized. Because what is the point of calling me racialized and then advocating for change? What are you even saying? One thing cancels out the other is what I'm trying to get to, but not even trying to. So here is the meaning of IZE. IZE, for those of you who don't know, those of you who know, this is a refresher. It's a suffix. It's a part of the word that comes after the main part, right? The suffix IZE or IZE, whatever, is used to create verbs that mean to cause, to become. For example, are you hearing the meaning of words? Violet, this very much reminds us of Tiffany and her campaign into finding out what words mean, doesn't it? But it is so true. Let me continue. The suffix IZE is used to create verbs that mean to cause to become. For example, modernize means to make modern. Why then does racialize not mean to make that person an object of racism? Okay, here are others. So here are some examples of words that use the suffix IZE: centralized, caramelized, finalized. In the context of North America, Americanized. Okay, computerized, crystallized, unionized. What happens when you think of these words? What state of being are these people who are being ized in? Here's some other definitions of the suffix IZE. To form or cause to be formed into, to subject to a specified action, okay? To saturate, treat, or combine with. Here is another one. To treat like, to engage in, to I like, this is just amazing. I wish more people would do this. Here's another meaning of the word the suffix IZE: to speak, think, act, treat in the way mentioned. To speak, think, act, treat, etc., in the way that is mentioned. And so we come to, everybody's hearing me okay, right? We come to this word that we Black people, as we speak about our state of being in a country, being immigrants, being Black, how we're treated, we use these words in an effort to get a result that the words actually do the opposite of. Am I being overly simplistic? Or is that this is an atomic thought that can change something? When you call yourself racialized, there are two things that happen. When somebody who's not Black says that you are racialized in the context of trying to help, what are they saying? I'm not just going to be using the IZE word, actually. I've got another concept that I want to also examine because it also has weight. My point of view is that these words carry weight. And even as we have just learned that if I say and I call myself racialized, I'm literally calling unto myself that ability for other people to speak, think, act, treat me in the way mentioned. Why would I do that to myself? As far as I'm concerned, it is akin to looking at my Black, beautiful self and calling myself the N word. I'm not doing it. I am not doing it. And, that's like my biggest battle with my boys, to not say those things because it's so much a part of the society. You even have like all of the rap stars, everybody using the word like it's just part of the vocabulary. But what if we tried and we said, okay, I was racialized before in this space, in this dispensation. Why don't I change it? Why don't I just be humanized? And it's not even a matter. I thought of that word and I don't like it because if you're saying that you humanize, you're saying that you weren't human in the first instance, and that is not the case. Why not just say Black? Why not say Afro Caribbean, Afro Canadian, Afro whatever you are, except to say that what, and I keep on hearing it over and over and over again. Racialized people. What are you saying? You're saying that that is our state of being. It cannot change. This is who we are. So then why are we having conversations? Why are we having Black History Month? Why are we doing all of these things to highlight the fact we were always human, we were always great. We always had a stake in the history of this place. We were always nothing missing, nothing broken. We were always made in the image of his life. Like, why negate those things with those words? And how you always know, yes, it is. It's people are people. Violet says the persons who formulated this phrase are intentional about how they intend to treat non-Indigenous Canadians. And I went into the history of who first used it. It was definitely not Black people. It was definitely not Black people who came up with the term, okay, racialized. I want to argue this morning for every Black person. Please share this, please like this and share it. Please subscribe on YouTube, all of the things. I want to advocate this morning for us to remove, to ignore, to not say that word, because we are furthering the agenda of us being racialized, that words have meaning. We know that. And you know what? The Black community, for the most part, has a history of dealing with words and the arts and the culture, and even spiritually. It has a very deep history of, looking at what words mean in the spiritual context. Words have meaning. I'm not going to call myself racialized. And how I know it has meaning for other people is if, when I say I am not racialized, there's a comeback and a pushback. Why? Why are you arguing with me when I'm trying to get better? And you saying to me that the words that I think are actually perpetuating this state of being that I don't want? Why are you arguing with me to keep it? What's the agenda there? And so I want to point to another phrase. Like we pass these things around in Black history and speaking about who we are and what we do, and we never stop to think about the effect and the consequences of saying certain words and phrases. Here's another one. And I want to set the context. I sat in a workshop many years ago, not so many, maybe about 5 years ago. I sat in a workshop while I still was at the University of Alberta. And there was a workshop going on about like microaggressions. And I saw another dimension of white privilege. I saw somebody use the word as a label and as a protective garment. Let me see if I can explain it. It was a white male, one of the few ones in the workshop, and he was sitting in the back listening to all of this. I guess they call it woke culture now, but it's not. And I have my views on that too. I'll tell you about it. Talking about treating people with respect, taking the time to know different cultures and respect them for who they are. And he had said nothing all the time or for the most of the workshop. But at the end, I'm not sure what the question was, but this guy sat there and he was very cocky. He came across as very cocky. And he said, well, I know people will think that, I have this white privilege. And I looked at him because the word was, the two words, they were laden with meaning. They were like a protective garment on him. He was literally, and even I find that sometimes, even while people are apologizing for white privilege, they are acknowledging that they still have it, that perhaps they still want it, that it protects, that it divides. How I think this is true is I've thought of doing this, right? Like I do especially in this month, anybody who's anybody is doing lots of workshops all around the place. I had 2 yesterday, right? And I'm pretty sure that's it for all of us practitioners, all of us who have some kind of, understanding, love our people, have a voice. We are called upon to serve in this time. And I was serving yesterday, okay? So I'm thinking of doing this. What if we go into a workshop and we say 2 things? In this space, nobody is racialized. And secondly, in this space, nobody has white privilege. How do you think people would feel? How would the Black people feel if I say you are no longer racial? Would you feel free? If I come and I say you are not racialized here, you have the right to be your full self, your big self, your brazen self, your quiet self, your academic self, your stoosh self. What if I said that? And at the same time, I said, in this space, there is no white privilege. How would the white people feel? I can't answer that because, like, this melanin ain't going nowhere. But if I kept on saying, I have black privilege, black privilege, black privilege, black privilege. And I said, you know what? I mean, I know I have black privilege, and I mean, it's just the way the world is, and I don't think I want it. And you see, this black privilege that I have, like, it's something that I did not bring on myself. It was my ancestors, and I'm not responsible for it. I'm doing the best that I have. It's not my fault that I have black privilege. Are you hearing what's happening? The more you say you have white privilege, is the more you have it. If I then come after saying and apologizing for having white privilege, having black privilege in my case, black privilege here, black privilege, and then one day somebody comes to say, in this space, you have no black privilege. Do I feel naked? Do I feel exposed? Do I feel weakened? And I've been thinking about it. Again, it is the power of words. And even though this is a dark topic, no pun intended, I think the one generalized thing that we can take, and the analysis from this little conversation here this morning, is that words have meaning, and there's a hope that if you use the right words, you can get the right result. Because we have been mindless with using and passing around, banding around all of these labels that do not serve us as Black people. What if I came in and I said there was no white privilege? I said, in this space, we are beginning here today. We're going to talk about microaggressions, and there is no white privilege here. Would you color up? Would you feel embarrassed? Would you feel, in some case, vulnerable? And if you do, it means that saying that you had white privilege was some kind of cover, some kind of protection, that the label was protecting you. Stop it. We need to stop talking about, if you want to move the conversation ahead. And I don't know if this is the coach in me speaking, because coaches take you from good to great. A coach will be like, okay, this is where you are. Where do you want to go? Maybe that's what is talking here. But I think it's a worthy conversation, and I'm going to have it as much as I can with whoever wants to listen, because it's time for us to set a better foundation. You cannot change the things that you acknowledge that it's like, this is it. What's the point? What's the point? If I say I'm racialized, what is the point of all of this? And you know what? I'm not accusing anybody. Doesn't it serve the purpose to continue to be and to just talk about what is, as opposed to taking deep foundational steps to change what is, beginning with how we speak about ourselves? We have a tradition of being wordists in the Black community. We are wordists, we are poets. We take the word, we do gymnastics and jimmy flicks with it, okay? But we take on this label here in Canada. I am not racial. Why are you calling me racialized? I thought that was yesterday. Can we speak about how we are moving forward from being racialized to being who I am today? Just call me Black. Just call me Black. Because every time you call me racialized, you are perpetuating the state that I do not want to be in. Because IZE means the following. Like, if you're just joining me, let me say it again. Here are some of the meanings. When I say racialized, I'm saying that you are profiling me according to who I am, and it's usually not positive. It's saying that you are putting me in a certain box and you're keeping me there. And here I come, agreeing with you by using the same words that you use for me. It's not going to happen. No, you didn't make me. You cannot put a label on me. I'm sorry. Like, I think these are perhaps from the days when, I used to be, that's very Afro-conscious back in university. That these were my Waterloo days, I like to call them. But it stayed with me because it was real. I learned to fall in love with myself as a Black person, and to take that out of like any kind of political realm. Like, you just literally have to be in love with yourself, because your best thing. Like, you are who you are, your best thing. You might as well. And I was saying that yesterday. Go check out the live from yesterday on YouTube if you want to, right? You are your best thing. That's who you are. So you might as well love yourself. Oh, there's no volume? Okay, it was on your. Okay, all right, Sunny. I'm just seeing that. Oh my goodness. I was like, what? I'm happy there's volume now, because I can't remember everything I said. Thank you for that. That is so funny. I was like, what? No volume? So Please don't forget to like and share this video. Also follow me on IG at Lisa M. Dublin. I'm trying to grow my numbers there. And if you're watching this on the replay, type replay. So that helps the algorithm somewhat, okay? Don't forget to like, share the video. Thank you very much. Type replay if you're watching this. So what are you going to do? What do words mean with you? What are you saying to yourself, okay? What are you saying to yourself? Has it come true? We don't take this work seriously, but a lot of like the ways that I've grown, it's because I've made a concerted effort at different points of my life to watch my words, say different words, coming from believing different things. I was working with a client this week, and we're working on like building self-esteem and self image, that kind of thing, and putting together a plan to do that. Because change does not come just like that. Sometimes, most times, change comes because you make a concerted effort to change. And I had a friend, let me tell you about how you can change and become the person you want. I always like to leave on a very positive note. Before I do that, let me just take this comment from Violet on Instagram. Violet said it's very important for the perspective you are sharing to be understood by young non-indigenous persons living in Europe, the UK, and North America. So these stereotypes are destroyed at their roots. That's it. Okay, you can hear me, right? So it is that's what I'm talking about. You know how Basement Chronicles, if you're into Basement Chronicles, like you're that foundational person, right? You're very authentic, and you recognize that you don't want to just put like the glitz and the glamour. You want that too, but you want that kind of change and existence that starts from the belly up, from the ground up, from within you, and then bears fruit in the rest of your life. That's a Basement Chronicles person. Whoever you are, male or female, you are concerned in being true and finding a truth that resonates with you and running with that. That's part of it. So don't come and tell me about loving myself and loving myself as a Black person. And then at the same point, I don't think we've ever recognized it. So I don't want to make it hostile. I'm just saying, I'm pointing us to, hey, let's not use this word, because when we do, we are just perpetuating the very thing this whole movement is about. That's like, I want to be 150 pounds, but I'm having vice for pies every single day. That does not work. One cancels out the other. So what are we even doing? If we want to move the conversation along, let's also watch our language. The other thing I want to say, and I was giving you the story very quickly about somebody I know and how she changed, okay? I had this friend back in, I think, primary school and into like high school and so on. So, she came from an underprivileged home and, wasn't always the best dressed and that kind of thing. Something happened when she began to work and she found her groove. One of the first things she did, and you can go back to Basement Chronicles. I think there's an episode, Basement Chronicles, when it was a vlog, the very first episode or so, I talk about taking off the labels. She had a certain nickname back in high school that really denoted being ugly, being unkempt. That's perhaps the word that I remember. Okay, it was the word denoted all of these negative things. Do you know, when this girl hit university and she was working, she went off to do her first degree. I met her at university. One of the first things we learned about her was that she no longer answered to that name. You'd say the name and she'd be like, excuse me, no, that's not my name. And she would stand her ground every single time. It didn't even matter who was saying it, where it came from, because she no longer believed that about herself and she was making a concerted effort to change. She refused to take on that name anymore. Do not call me. That is not my name. Call me by my, like I'm a Christian name. That's what she wanted people to. I won't ever forget that. And just her consistency and persistence in I am different and focusing in on changing the narrative around her because she had changed within. She would just went on to be normal, got married, had kids, And I'm pretty sure that if she had remained with the ugliness of that other name, that she would have turned out just like what the name was calling her to be. Names call you, don't they? Names call you. And every time we talk about being racialized, we are calling racialization. Every time we speak about white privilege, we are calling white privilege. I'm not one to just have my head in the sand like I don't see anything. No, I'm very much aware of how difficult it can be. But the one thing I want to leave with everybody is that there is a difference in walking into a room feeling loved and feeling like you have nothing missing and nothing broken, or walking into a room and feeling racialized. I'm going to leave it right there. Try it. Try it today. If you are in this part of the world, try it today. Go into a room, any room, and say, I'm racialized. And go into the next room and say, I am loved. I have nothing missing, nothing broken. I belong here. See what happens when you do one as opposed to the other. I'd love to hear your comments. If you have me on WhatsApp or whatever, I would love to hear your point of view on this matter, because as you can hear, I feel very strongly about it. And like, I'm just not going to stand for it anymore. I'm just going to be like, okay, if you call me racialized, then in the next vein, you can't be talking to me about let's repair what racialization does. All right, everybody. Have a great weekend, and I will see you. I'm back to Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Just stuff happening in the back I wanted to come and tell you about, but now it's all good. So, see you on Wednesday with another interesting foundational topic on Basement Chronicles Live. Bye. Please don't forget to like and share the video and subscribe on YouTube, you guys. Come on, let's do it. Bye, everybody. Take